All right, so let's unpack some of those stats with Gun Free South Africa's Executive Director, Dr. Stanley Maphosa. Dr. Maphosa, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I suppose from a bird's eye point of view, one would say, wow, we're making progress when you talk about an 8.5% decline in contact crimes, a 10% drop in murder cases in Gauteng, which is really where we see the most crimes taking place in the country. I don't know if, from a civil society point of view, you look at these numbers and say, all right, these are green shoots, we're getting somewhere.
Thank you so much, Naledi, and all the viewers of Newzroom Afrika for this opportunity. Yes, we really welcome the report that there is some progress that's being done. But obviously, the progress is just a tip in the iceberg. When you're talking about 10% drop, we must be able to say from what numbers to what numbers. And it's very important also to look at the root cause, especially of murder. The root cause of murder is firearms. Firearms remain the most commonly used weapons in Gauteng. And these murders are not just declining, so to speak, when you listen to the report. They are just changing shape because most of the killings are said to be happening in arguments as well as in road rage. And those are public spaces. So what that simply means is that our public spaces are not safe. And secondly is that when there is a gun, the argument just tends to be fatal. So we need to be addressing that very, very critical.
And that needs to be spoken of. So give me some of the data then that is gun-free South Africa you would have as we look at, you know, the crime stats coming out of the province. One of the stats needs to look at the availability of firearms in the province, as you say, being the root cause of some of the violent crimes.
Definitely, you know, the availability of firearms emanate from a lot of reasons. The first one is the loss of firearms, is the firearms that are being stolen, is corruption issues that emanate from the fact that our central firearm registry is in shambles. And each time you are asking how many guns are in the country, you will today get one answer, the following day you'll get a different answer. And we, as Gun-Free South Africa, see that the South African police services may not be having the capacity to maintain that record, to maintain that database. Maybe there is another organization, maybe there's another department, I don't know, Home Affairs or someone else in the country that can enable us to have better records of the firearms in the country. Yeah, when we come into the loss of the firearms that really feed into the illegal firearms, police themselves lose about 2 firearms per day. And the private security loses 5 firearms per day. So you can multiply that these legal firearms that come from the private security sector as well as the police services are moving and leaking into the illicit market every day.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about what it is that we recommend, though, for where we have been able to see the numbers drop and how we continue to do that? So perhaps the green shoots and recommendations for in the next quarter for Gauteng, what we're able to do to see those numbers drop, and also efforts by civil society to work with officials to get those numbers down.
Definitely. For Gun-Free South Africa, we have got 3 recommendations that we're making. The first one is that let there be a reduction of guns, the illegal guns as well as the legal guns. As I said, that the legal guns feed into the illegal system. And the illegal ones must be reduced through amnesties. There must be amnesties that are no question amnesties so that people can surrender those unwanted rifles. And there should be an intelligence-driven kind of search and kind of reduction, not just the stop and search Chaniela, which is just overall, but there should be an intelligence-led kind of search and stop and tracking and ensuring that we reduce these guns that are both legal and illegal, And we really make the system so stringent that one should really say, why do I need a gun and where and how? Right. And the second thing is to enforce the law. The law already exists. The Firearms Control Act already exists. It was promulgated in 2000. And between 2000 and 2010, there was a reduction of the murders through firearms. So it worked. And we want to ask a question, what made it not to work after 2011 up to now, that we are moving to something that is similar to the 1990s? And the last thing is to table the law. The amendment bill must be tabled. You remember that in 2021, the bill was tabled and people made comments. And 4 years from that time to now, we're waiting. We don't know at whose table that bill is seated and why it is seated. Because it must come forward, tabled in Parliament, we discuss it, and we strengthen and close some of these various loopholes that make the situation to be what it is right now.
Yeah, definitely a conversation to follow up on, Dr. Maphosa. Thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. Dr. Stanley Maphosa, Executive Director of Gun-Free South Africa. They're reacting to Gauteng's crime statistics showing a decrease in contact crimes and murders. But of course, Dr. Maphosa saying at the core of it, though, what we need to do is get less guns in our streets. It is just after 9:30. Let's give you a quick reminder of your headlines this evening.